Welcome to our Halloween edition of The Stakes. Things are still getting weird. The Stakes starts now. Welcome, everybody, to The Stakes. I'm Tara Setmayer. This is Michelle Kinney. We are the co-founders of the SENECA Project, and we are doing our 5-day away from Election Day show. It's Halloween. Mm-hmm. Donald Trump apparently wore his costume a day early. I don't know if you guys saw this, but he was running around on a garbage truck cosplaying a garbage man. There's a whole controversy over these comments. We're going to get to that in a second. Also wanted to say a big thank you to everyone who has supported our American Girl ad. It is our anthem for this election. It is doing amazing. We're going to talk about that in a second because a special person who was featured in the ad actually commented on it, and we'll share that. Also, another incident that happened with early voting in South Carolina that I am beside myself about, that I want to take a minute to talk about what happened. And we're going to show you what happened and get your reaction, because I certainly have a lot of things to say about it. Yeah. And then, of course, because it's Halloween, I have my pumpkin carvings, our annual pumpkin carving. I mentioned it last night's show. We have to show a couple pictures of our pumpkins because that's, we have to. I wait every year to do this. So there's that. So let's get right into it.
Let's do it. And I apologize for all the sirens per usual.
Yeah.
They seem extra spicy today. Maybe it's because it's Halloween. Anyways.
Maybe. It's par for the course now at this point.
It is. It's part of the show.
Noise. It's part of New York City. Part of New York. Or maybe it's all the Yankees fans like us who are quite upset about them
staying up for
bed last night in the World Series at home.
I stayed up for nothing.
It was terrible. Anyway, there's always next year, guys. Listen, I'm a Giants fan. I get it.
I guess.
All right. Let's start with Donald Trump and this garbage bullshit. Okay. We all know what happened on Sunday at the fascist palooza at Madison Square Garden, where the term garbage, trash heap, whatever, was used to talk about Puerto Rican Americans. And then spicy Joe Biden made a comment basically doing what Uncle Joe does and basically saying they're garbage. And of course,
I thought that he said, I went back and listened to it because, he stutters a bit. And I thought he was saying the comments were garbage.
Yeah.
I didn't necessarily thought, but you know what? Whatever at this point.
It doesn't matter. You know what I mean?
It doesn't.
Joe Biden is all of us when it comes to this. All the horrible things that MAGA says constantly and the despicable, unconscionable things that come out of Donald Trump's mouth and the people around him. Yeah. And they always feign outrage when they get it back. And it's just
fainting couch.
Right. It's like the pearl clutching. I can't do it. And so they, of course, did this. They seized on this and decided to do another stunt and dress Donald Trump up like a garbage man and put him in a garbage truck. The irony of all of this is really just too rich to ignore.
Okay. We talked about this yesterday about the cosplaying of working class people.
Yes.
And
right.
I just do they have a little costume trunk for him? We used to have one of these in theater school. People had wigs and stuff we'd wear to parties or little outfits. It's just, or if you know Canadian TV, if you grew up near the border, you have Canadian TV. There was a show called Mr. Dress Up, and there was a guy, and he had this thing called the tickle trunk. Don't ask. There was costumes in it.
Oh no!
Any kid that grew up in the 70s or 80s knows about this. Anyways, but that's all.
I think that would have a different connotation today.
You couldn't call it that.
Oh my God!
It's called tickle trunk. And he had these little puppet friends, whatever. It doesn't matter.
Very Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, Canadian, but weirder.
It was the Canadian Mr. Rogers.
Yeah,
it was a whole thing. So, but anyways, I kept thinking, I was do they have a tickle trunk for Donald Trump? Or they just pull out the costume?
Oh my God. I'm telling you, I think tickle trunk has a completely different connotation nowadays with Donald Trump. Good God.
The Donald Trump tickle trunk.
Oh my God. If that was only the worst thing, if that was only the worst thing about this guy.
Oh my
I swear to
gosh.
God.
I'm in tears.
Oh my God.
Anyway.
Well, let's show it. Let's show it. If people didn't see it, we just need to show you because the obnoxiousness, there's two things we're going to show. We're going to show first the ridiculousness of this scene and Donald Trump's like apparent inability to open the truck door to get in it. And then we're going to show you a montage of the absolute ridiculous hypocrisy of them being upset about Joe Biden's comments and then compared to what they say on the deal.
I have two different clips from this little truck.
Yes, go ahead, show them.
I'll play the first one.
150 million people are not garbage. I can tell you who the real garbage is, but we won't say that.
We won't say that.
That is not flattering for his figure.
Well, what is?
Look, what?
Whoopsie daisy.
He was half a step away from busting his whole ass.
All right, guys, pull camera.
Look at that.
I mean,
so then he takes questions from the truck.
Can I just stop for a second?
Oh, yeah,
Dump truck. There is a Trump logo on a garbage truck. They have no self-awareness, these people. None
whatsoever.
None.
So I'm going to play this clip now.
And Puerto Rico loves me. I don't know anything about a comedian. I love Puerto Rico. Nobody's done more for Puerto Rico than me. I took care of them when they had the big hurricanes, and nobody gets along better with Puerto Rico and the Puerto Rican people than me. They love me and I love them. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. That's a lie. As I've mentioned before, he withheld $20 billion in disaster aid. He made that recovery very difficult. And everybody remembers the throwing the paper towels. I mean, he just needs to stop. But his campaign people hate him because they continue to dress him up with the tickle trunk costumes. And it looks absurd.
Send you a clip later. You're going to know.
Yes, send it. This is just, we don't need to say anything else. Okay. It's absolutely absurd. And this is what they're doing. They think that this is this is our closing message. We really got them.
And before we move on to that, I just want to show this picture because this was making the rounds on Twitter last night. And I'm like, surely this is doctored. Surely this has been edited. The contrast has been turned up, something. No. This is a photo that is available to license on Getty Images.
No, stop it.
I am not.
I'm not going to stop. Okay.
Look at that.
Okay.
And first of all, the position of the microphone.
There's so much wrong with this. There's so much wrong with this.
Somebody on Twitter made a joke about Arnold Palmer, and I was like, nope.
Oh, gosh.
Nope.
Yeah. Nope. Yeah.
We're not doing that.
We can't.
We're not going to do that. But the mouth is a different color around here. Neer Tanden tweeted last night something, and I'm paraphrasing. It was like, is anyone else finding how dark he's getting jarring? You.
Okay. I responded. And then I looked at the comments. I looked at the comments and I said, I responded and I said, for someone who disparages people of color so much, he sure as hell tries so hard to look like one. And then somebody else commented and said, if he gets any darker, he's going to deport himself. So, look, it is what it is with this guy. We've got this clown who looks like Ronald McDonald going to work.
He looks like a clown, like an actual clown.
Yes, he does.
But that's stupid. And I don't have a clip from this, I don't think. But then he kept the vest on.
Yes, at his rally.
He wore it to the rally after.
the whole time. How did he look in the mirror and think that this looks okay? And also, if you guys didn't see, we don't have the clip of it, but it's been all over the news today, where Donald Trump made this disparaging comment about women. Remember, he's been talking about how he's a protector, and we were like, yeah, no, thank you very much. No, you're not. You're a predator. He said, you know, oh, they told me women don't like that. Don't say that. I'm going to be their protector. Well, I'm going to be their protector whether they like it or not.
Whether they like it or not.
Like, do we really even need to explain how predatory and creepy that is? And
that the
indicative
undercurrent of this campaign is forcing women to do things against their will, whether it be voting, whether it be giving birth, whether it be Trump protecting. Like, it doesn't, all of this is about controlling. And for the party of small government, ain't that rich?
That's out the window.
Yeah, I know, but like, you know, they still try to, you know,
yeah, like good luck with that,
which I think is ridiculous. But
and yesterday we talked about these, you know, the Christian nationalists and how they want to subjugate women as if we live in Gilead from The Handmaid's Tale, and we don't. But this is what they want to go toward. So again, don't believe us; they're telling us. Listen to them. And we have the montage of the horrible comments that they've said, but yet they're very upset about Joe Biden's comments. Like, stop it.
And this is like a hastily put together little thing I put.
That's
made
okay.
It this morning, but
it gets the job done.
Yes. Here we go.
And it's not her. It's the people that surround her. They're scum. They're scum. And they want to take down our country. They are absolute garbage.
She is some sick bastard, that Hillary Clinton, huh? What a sick son of a bitch. The whole fucking party, a bunch of degenerates, lowlives, Jew haters, and lowlives. Every one of them. Every one of them. Look at my city.
And even the enemy, because they are the enemy, what they've said, even that enemy too, and they're really the enemy. They're the enemy of the people, the press. We're a dumping ground. We're like a garbage can for the world. We will root out the communists, Marxists, fascists, and the radical left thugs that live like vermin within the confines of our country. I'll tell you what, any African American or Hispanic, and you know how well I'm doing there, that votes for Kamala, you got to have your head examined. 60% of Jewish people are going to vote for Kamala or a Democrat. And honestly, you ought to have your heads examined. We've been engaged in an epic struggle to rescue our country from the sinister forces who hate it. They hate our country.
We need to slaughter this other people.
Vicious, crooked, radical left machine that runs today's Democrat Party.
It's going to be pretty hard to look at us and say, you know what? Kamala Harris, she got 85 million votes because she's just so impressive. As the first Samoan, Malaysian, low IQ, former California prosecutor ever to be elected president, it was just a groundswell of popular support.
So you have to tell Kamala Harris that you've had enough, that you just can't take it anymore. We can't stand you. You're a shit vice president. The worst. You're the worst vice president. Kamala, you're fired. Get the hell out of here. You're fired. Get out of here. Get the hell out of here, Kamala.
We don't even need to say anything. No. Just we don't even need to say anything. It speaks for itself.
I mean, it's just, you know what it is? I'm trying to visualize, you know, it's like someone poking you, going like this, and then you finally turn around and say, knock it off. And they're like, oh, how dare you?
Yes. Yeah. They do it all the time.
Yeah.
They do this all the time.
And then the media falls for it.
Of course. And that's the most frustrating part about all of this, because, you know, as regular folks, we look at that and anyone would react. Any normal person would react the way like Biden or the rest of us have acted. Like, shut the hell. Like, are you guys serious? But then the media is like, oh, you know, Kamala, want to be Frank Luntz, that freaking guy.
Oh my God.
About being passionate. Yeah. And trying to help me.
What did he say? It's
lose the election for Kamala, that this could lose it. shut up. Like, I just want to say, shut up. You're not relevant. You're so off base, and stop mansplaining to people.
I just want to remind everyone once again that Frank Luntz has a replica of the Oval Office in his house that he had built.
Yes.
Not a little dollhouse,
Yeah.
a real size one where
Right.
you can go be in it. And he has that. And also he was roommates with Kevin McCarthy. So just take everything that that Frank Luntz says with a grain of salt.
Correct.
That's
now. I mean, he used to be very good at what he did a long time ago, and then he's gone off the reservation. But anyway, that's an aside.
Yeah.
Here's another thing that we want to make sure that we show you, because the attacks on women have just continued, and Charlie Kirk, like, they're real mad. The bros, the brosphere out there, the MAGA bros are real mad about women, and I think they see the writing on the wall that we're going to defeat them, and we're going to show you what Charlie Kirk has.
Well, I want to build to that for a second. First, I want to show a clip of us on MSNBC back in June. This was June 18th. This was the day that we launched the Seneca Project with Nicole Walz. We thank her for her support and airtime. She gave us 2 segments. It was amazing.
Yes.
But I said this about, well, I'll just play it. Here we go.
Do that. But there was a lot to take from that speech that really works in this moment. And so, we're laser focused on making sure that women understand the stakes in this election. And when they go into that voting booth, that's their choice. That's our choice. It is no one's business. You don't have to tell anybody who you voted for. And there are fewer and fewer sacred places for women in this country to make personal and private decisions about their lives and their futures. And one of those places is a voting booth. So like what Tara said, we don't care if you voted for Donald Trump 1 time or 2 times. We just care that you don't vote for him again. So you have to think about what kind of future you want to leave for your children. And if you want to hold on to the rights that we have now, the only choice on that ballot is Joe Biden.
Now, obviously, Joe Biden is no longer the candidate, but Kamala Harris, same situation.
We were one of the first organizations to say the My Ballot, My Choice. And as a matter of fact, we actually have t-shirts. If you go to senecaproject.us on our merch shop, we have My Ballot, My Choice t-shirts
which
there.
Is down on the scroll here.
Yeah, and lots of other cool merch. So we still don't have the purple hat, so don't yell at us. It was a whole supplier issue thing, but we have other cool things there. So anyway, go ahead.
No, and that idea was really inspired by a conversation that, we had with Senator Boxer when we were up in Seneca Falls. Tara had a TV hit and she was on with Senator Boxer. And I felt that some of the things she was saying were so on point and so exactly what it is that we wanted to do. I was like, we need to get in touch with her immediately. And so we literally wrote her that night. And she wrote Tara back immediately. They had a phone call and Senator Boxer told a story about voting with her mother as a little girl, saying, "Don't tell your father." And we were like, "Oh my gosh!"
When we asked her to join our advisory committee, she was like, "Absolutely yes!" Like there was no hesitation. It was very cool. So as a result of that, back in May,
right? And so for whatever reason, maybe just everyone's thinking this, and maybe we were just early to the party, but there's an ad that went out for Vote Common Good. Julie Roberts voices it, and it's 30 seconds. And this is the ad that has all of their panties in a twist. I'm going to play that now.
Your turn, honey.
In the one place in America where women still have a right to choose, you can vote any way you want. And no one will ever know.
Did you make the right choice?
Sure did, honey.
Remember, what happens in the booth stays in the booth. Vote Harris Walz. Vote Common Good is responsible for the contents of this ad.
I wish she had done it with us, but we're glad that we're all on the same page. Glad we're all on the same page because that message is really, really important.
Yeah, it's really important. And there's several organizations, campaigns now that are repeating this message because it's a powerful one. And I think what it does is remind women of our own singular power as human beings, not as wives or mothers or anything else, but us as individuals. And I think it's so important that women reclaim that, because there's so much of what we're living right now that we're losing that individual freedom, right? So anyways, so this is a whole thing. MAGA, ooh, they're mad.
Oh, they're triggered.
Ooh, they're mad. So here's a clip from Charlie Kirk on Megyn Kelly's show. Ugh.
This wife is wearing you'll show it, wearing the American hat. She's coming in with her sweet husband, who probably works his tail off to make sure that she can go, and have a nice life and provides for the family. And then she lies to him saying, oh yeah, I'm going to vote for Trump. And then she votes for Kamala Harris as her little secret in the voting booth. Kamala Harris and her team believe that there will be millions of women that undermine their husbands, and do so in a way that it's not detectable in the polling.
Okay. First of all, Megyn Kelly, again, we know she's gone to the dark place, the bad place. Yeah. I've never really been a huge fan of hers, but she was like a tough bee, like back in the day.
She was. That's
Megyn Kelly never would have sat across from some little twerp like that and been like, well, hold on, shut your mouth.
Yeah.
I like how she's sitting there silent. I do not know.
It's Invasion of the Body Snatchers. I've talked about this before about Megyn Kelly, and it's she's gonna have to answer for that and whatever. In the meantime, Charlie Kirk using language like undermine their husband and sweet husband, like the disparagement of women, their disdain for women having agency, freedom of choice, like any of those things. They want women to be their little subjugated subjects, like it was back before women had any rights in this country. And it's just, it oozes off of them. It's infuriating. And you know what? There are going to be lots of women who do exactly what that commercial said, because they have to work out being married to a Trump supporter. Thank God I'm not. Thank God you're not. And we don't have to. I couldn't be. I don't know how, but that's another. I
literally thanked my husband in our wedding vows for being a Democrat. That's another story for another day. But keep going.
But I'm just saying, like, this is again, they just infantilize women as if we're just these.
We're like little children.
Yeah, we're little children with the little brains. I have my hat on today, and I have my buttons from Suffs. And for people who haven't seen it, if you live in New York or visit New York City, please try to go see it before it closes in January. It is an incredible musical about the women's suffrage movement. And there's a couple scenes from that show where one is called Great American Bitch, which reminds me of something that we're about to talk about next. And then there's Now is the Next Time, Votes for Women. And what's the other one? The other one is, Keep Marching. And that's another anthem of ours about, making sure that we don't get discouraged and that we have to keep marching and fighting for our freedoms, which is part of our American Girl anthem. But all of these things remind me of what came before us and what we had to fight for, and how these bastards want to send us back there, and we won't. Which leads me to the next story, which I have go ahead.
Sorry, I just wanted to play one more clip, because this is, I feel like this outrage is broader than just like rando podcast that just like, this is Fox News stuff. Like this is the stuff your parents or grandparents, aunts and uncles are watching.
Having an affair. That to me.
Oh, whoops. Let me start this again. Sorry.
And if I found out Emma was going into the voting booth and pulling the lever for Harris, that's the same thing as having an affair. That to me.
Oh my God. Let him finish. Go, Jesse. It's our day.
That violates the sanctity of our marriage.
Yes.
What else is she keeping from me?
Exactly.
What else has she been lying about?
Why would she lie to you? Have you threatened her? Why would she lie to you?
Oh, they want me to tease.
Why would she do that and then vote Harris? Why would she say she was voting Trump
not the problem,
and then voting Harris? And I caught her, and then she said, I lied to you for the last 4 years.
Admit you intimidate
It's over, Emma. That would be D-Day. And if I found out Emma was going into the voting booth and pulling the lever for Harris, that's the same thing as having an affair.
First of all, Jesse Waters, you want to talk about having affairs? Really?
Yeah.
Really?
I know.
I don't think Just Google that if you don't know about that.
Yeah.
Couple wives.
Especially Fox.
Right. It's like well, whatever. I'm not going to say it. But it's interesting to listen to Jean Pirro. Is it Janine? Janine Pirro. You could see that she's starting to get a little pissed off because she's like, what are you threatening her?
Right. And then the other jerk off at the end of the table, who, by the way, I think he's part of a brothers thing. I don't know. And they the Hodges brothers, or maybe those are different guys.
Yeah.
But they are these obnoxious tokens that Fox uses to.
Yeah.
As
And Janine Pirro's, I'm like, again, this is where I feel like this little light bulb starts to go off with some of these MAGA women. I'm like, yes, this is you too.
Yes.
You're going to do this to you too. Like, you will not be exempt from this. It doesn't matter who you voted for. It doesn't matter how much money you have, the color of your skin, where you live. It's not going to matter. They're going to do it to all of us.
Yep. And you too.
So,
it's very Handmaid's Tale. Okay.
Correct.
Serena Waterford.
Right. Exactly. And they chopped her finger off for trying to read.
Yeah.
So, you know, and to Tara's point, a lot of this is happening where the women are not telling their husbands. This is happening. And we're hearing stories on the ground from canvassers, from people who are making phone calls, you know, oh, there's 3 registered Democrats living here. And the man will answer and he's like, no, there's not.
Yeah.
Yes, there is.
Yeah.
I heard another story of a canvasser in Arizona talking to a woman. Will you vote for Kamala Harris? And she's like, yes, just go away. Go away. My husband's coming. My husband's coming. So these things are really happening. Women are not less angry in 2024 than they were in 2022. I think we're more angry, quite frankly, because this stuff is starting to snowball. So I found some tweets here. You know, this is someone complaining about, I'm at a loss for words at how condescending this is towards women. This is about the ad, the Common Good ad. Do the Dems think marriages are stuck in the 50s? Well, some of them, the Trumpers certainly would love to have that Make America Great Again. That's their idea of making America great again in the 50s, I guess, when women didn't have a voice and Black folks didn't have equal rights. Go ahead. Exactly. So this person who does phone banking says, bro, I phone bank for Harris, and this shit happens all the time. God awful husbands swearing up and down no Democrats live there when the wife is a Democrat. Women who whisper, I agree with you, and hang up the phone because they don't want their MAGA lunatic husbands to hear. This is the tweet from Charlie Kirk that we read on the show last night. Early vote has been disproportionately female. If women stay at home, Kamala is president. It's that simple. If you want a vision of the future, if you don't vote, imagine Kamala's voice cackling forever. Men need to go vote now. Here's another one from Cernovich. Great guy. Mail turnout in Pennsylvania for Trump has been a disaster. Unless this changes, Kamala Harris takes Pennsylvania and it's over. Nick Fuentes, white nationalist, Nazi, who Donald Trump invited to dinner at Mar-a-Lago. He says, if Trump loses, blame women. And here's a person responding to that first tweet I read about the phone banking. He says, that's why I make my wife do a mail-in ballot so I can make sure she votes Trump. She's not going to vote behind my back. I have found countless videos, like old movies of men like beating their wives with words that say, when your woman tells you she's voting for Kamala Harris, the comments would absolutely horrify you. Oh my God, liberals are going to be doing some screaming if they see this. I love it. LOL. Hell yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Hell yeah, but that's everyone who is standing behind that crooked bitch. And this is when men was men. So I'm just saying, you know,
I'm so glad we started the Seneca Project
every day,
because
every day, you know, this is not easy. It's hard. We knew it'd be hard. I guess I didn't know in what ways it would be difficult, but it's all worth it. Every day I wake up and I'm happy and motivated to be doing this work. And I know Tara is too.
Yes.
You know, we sacrificed a lot to be able to do this.
That's true.
Personally, we did. And
but anytime you do something meaningful that can make an impact, that changes things, there are sacrifices and tough choices that have to be made, because not everybody is willing to do it. So it takes people making the decision to step out of line, as our Alex Borstein has so artfully said in her amazing speech about her grandmother stepping out of line in Germany on their way to being killed.
Yes. And Tara, I know the next thing you wanted to talk about, because poll workers are disproportionately female and older.
80% of poll workers are women.
Yep.
And, why we do this show, I mean, this is in addition to what we do at the superPAC, because, with producing all of our content and getting it out there in front of women, we wanted to have this platform to be able to bring these stories to you, to tell these stories, to show you, because people need to be informed, because there's so much out there that we just can't keep up with it all, but we do our best to bring what we think is important, because it gives context to what's at stake, why this is so important, and for women to know. So here's another example of what we were talking about earlier. Yeah. And actually it was I'm glad that you showed all those things first, because it is a lead in. So this happened over the last couple of days down in South Carolina, and early voting there. And when you watch this video, I'm not going to say anything other than to tell you that the context of this is South Carolina. A MAGA Trump supporter was wearing a pro-Trump hat, which is against election law in South Carolina. You cannot wear paraphernalia, and this happens in a lot of states. Everyone is different. This has to do with intimidation, particularly in southern states. He had on a MAGA pro-Trump hat, and the poll workers asked him to remove it because it's against state law to wear it at the polling place.
Yeah.
This is what unfolded.
Yep.
Wow. This is my motherfucking right. Wow. Why is it defending you? It's like defending. All right, then shut the hell up and let me vote. Okay, we ain't got nothing else to say.
Wow.
Next thing what? There it is right there.
Wow. Oh, wow. God. Oh. Wow. 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 I'm not going to work with him. I may want to work with him.
Okay. Now, the first time I saw that, I actually teared up. It brought me to tears.
Yeah.
Because of all of those dynamics put into 1.5 minute video. The racial dynamics, the fact that it was all women, Black women, challenging a racist white man in South Carolina in 2024, who did everything but call them N-word bitches, because believe me, he wanted to.
Oh, yeah.
And that they stood up for the law, for democracy. They protected that polling location, which is what Black women in this country have had to endure for 200 years plus. And they were not going to let that man disrespect what was going on, not disrespect them anymore, not disrespect the polling place. And then you saw the generations of women.
Oh, yeah.
Older women, younger women, standing together to stop that man from doing what he was doing. And the fact that they even had to be put in that position in the first place speaks volumes about what MAGA wants. That is Donald Trump's America. That kind of person is why Donald Trump and the racism of MAGA and the sexism of MAGA is something that is on display. That's what they want. They're upset that women and women of color are actually in positions of power and have equal rights to them.
And can tell him what to do.
And can tell him what to do. They get to enforce the law. He doesn't get to enforce it anymore and treat people as second-class citizens. And he doesn't like it. You know, I had my husband watch this and I asked him, at what point would he have stepped in? And I watched his reaction as a Black man with a badge and a gun. And he was like, okay. As soon as that man threw that hat, he goes, it was bad from the beginning, but as soon as he threw that hat, he goes, that would have been a different situation. He also said, if there had been men, Black men there, that man would not have acted that way. He thought he could get away with that because it was women and Black women who he thinks are lesser than in his mind, that MAGA guy. So I say that to say, first of all, kudos to those women for their restraint, even though that woman threw hands, but she had to protect herself from him. But the rest of the women, that they kept it calm and kept the situation as under control as they could, because that could have gone a very different way. And I give them so much credit for that restraint. But it's infuriating. It's unconscionable that this is what we're doing in 2024. And it reminds me of a story about a civil rights icon, an icon. A couple of weeks ago, I spoke at the conference for the National Council of Negro Women, which is a long-standing, venerable organization for Black women in this country. And I spoke on the panel with another civil rights icon, which was really amazing, in the education space, Dr. Cole. And she told a story that reminded all of us of what Mary McLeod Bethune of Bethune-Cookman, which is an HBCU down in Daytona. But Mary McLeod Bethune is another icon for Black women in history. And in 1922, Mary McLeod Bethune this is only 2 years after the 19th Amendment. There was a mayoral race going on in Daytona, and she had a boarding school for girls. And of course, they wanted to build a high school for Black students. And so there was an election about that. And the white folks down there didn't like it, including the Klan. And they threatened to come to the boarding school and intimidate and burn down the school. And Mary McLeod Bethune stood, as the story goes, in the middle of the square of her school with the students in their dormitories, but other faculty singing hymns, daring the Ku Klux Klan that came there on horseback to intimidate her to, what are you going to do? And the Klan showed up, and she stood there proud as a Black woman in the South in 1920-22, standing up against the Klan, daring them. And they didn't. They left and did not lay a finger on that school. That's the moment we're in again now. As women, we are standing up to MAGA and saying, don't you dare. That's where we are. That's how I feel. That's how women feel. It's not just women of color. It's all women. But this is the moment that we're in, which is why American Girl is so important. It fits right with what American Girl represents. That's why it's an anthem. It's so hard being an American girl. Yep. But what are we going to do, ladies? We're going to vote, fight, win. We're going to show you American Girl if you haven't seen it yet.
Yeah. And I just want to say before we show this, that as a white woman, I want to say to my fellow white women who are watching, I think a lot of us know this, and I think this story is a testament to this reality. As bad as it is for us, multiply that by 1,000, and you will begin to understand how hard it is to be an American woman in this country and not be white. We have a privilege that we are often unaware of. And we have to do a better job of being aware of that privilege and making space for all other women of color to join us in this fight. because I know sometimes it can be branded. The Women's March was problematic in the beginning, especially because white women elected Donald Trump.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to say that it's important to just always have that in the back of your mind, that this is a fight for everyone, but it is harder for some than it is for all. So let's play American Girl.
Women's suffrage is a long story of hard work and heartache crowned by victory.
Was it so hard being an American girl?
Women throughout the country are committed to winning these rights for themselves.
Was it so hard living in a first problem world?
I'm Connie Chung, CBS News, New York.
When the American promise is the land of the free, but I'm waiting for the bill for the air that I breathe. Was it so hard being an American?
I do.
I pray that we all remember our children are watching.
Every heart beats true for the red, white, and blue. Tell me, girls, what are we gonna do? Every heart beats true for the red, white, and blue. Tell me, girls, what are we gonna do? Every heart lost to all the red, white, and American girls. What are we gonna do? Every heart.
While I may be the first woman in this office, I will not be the last.
Every heart beats true for the red, white, and blue. Tell me, girls, what are we gonna do?
Yes, it's our anthem. It's our crown jewel, and we got an unbelievable response.
Yeah,
and Michelle
just
has.
before we came on to do this, I checked my phone and saw this and gasped. I'll read it first and then I'll have a comment. From Connie Chung. She reposted this on her Instagram. This beautifully produced video carries such a powerful message, and I am beyond honored to be included. I had no idea until my niece texted it to me. I hope it resonates with you as much as it did me, and that it inspires you to vote. Please do not stay home this coming Tuesday. You belong in the voting booth at SENECA Project. And then someone had asked, I think, about the song, and she wrote, if you go to the original video on the SENECA Project Instagram, they credit the incredible songwriter, who is Laura Bell Bundy, Shea Carter, and Jeremy Adelman, performed by Laura Bell Bundy. So
that's amazing.
It was very important to me while we were making this that we included women from every background, every race, and every generation of this fight. And I immediately thought of Connie Chung. I grew up watching her. She is the first Asian American woman to ever host nightly news. Trailblazer. And she's the second woman to ever do it, ever. Mm-hmm. And there's a story that was written, I think, in the New York Times, and then CBS Mornings did a story on it of little girls born in like the 80s, Asian American girls who were all named Connie because of what a role model and trailblazer she was.
Representation matters. Don't let anybody ever tell you differently.
It does.
It does.
And so, it's an emotional time, and it's like really hard to talk about this stuff without, getting choked up, but it's amazing.
It's pretty amazing. If you guys were moved, if you are inspired, we are still raising money to get this put out into the digital universe in the battleground states, and it takes resources to do it. And people have been really responsive to this, and we're grateful. And please keep those donations coming in. Yes. And if you are not able to donate, we completely get that, because every little bit matters. But we know it's hard for folks. Please continue to share. We found out yesterday that this video was being shared in the UK and Australia, and who knows where else now. we are so proud of this, and we're so grateful to all of you who have believed in us and our mission and our, our little startup here. That's only, there's only 5 of us, and we are doing amazing things with what we have, thanks to what the grassroots response has been, and that's been you guys. So thank you. Keep the support coming. We so appreciate it, because this is what it's about. This is what it's about. Making sure women continue to use their agency and their power. And in this country, our power is at the ballot box. Our vote is our voice, and it's our ballot, our choice. And early voting, if you live in a state that's early vote, please go get it in. I'm going to go vote tomorrow, because I'm actually heading down to Charlottesville. This is actually recorded today. We had to pre-tape a little earlier today, because I'm on my way to Charlottesville to interview January 6th officers after we watch a documentary that UVA has produced about January 6th. And I'm interviewing Officer Hodges and Sergeant Gunnell and the wife of a fallen officer about that documentary. So that's where I'm headed. But we wanted to make sure that we came to you guys tonight, because it's just too important. It's just too important.
And I'm just thrilled to know that you're going to be with Officer Gunnell and Hodges today too, because we had the honor of sitting by them at the DNC on that last night.
Yes.
They were sitting right in front of us, unplanned. We had a really in-depth, meaningful conversation with them about what they're going through.
And we shared some pretty emotional moments with them too that night.
And what they have had to sacrifice to do the right
Talk
thing.
about sacrifice. My God.
To do the right thing. They have sacrificed so much, their families. It's a lot. So
it is. So it's an honor for me to do that. It was really important, given my background and my connection to law enforcement. And one of the motivations for me to stay in this fight was January 6th, and making sure something like that never happens again in this country. And so there's that. But we're not going to end on a sad note. We're going to end on a little bit of a fun note, because we're pumpkin carvers. And Michelle, because you live in New York, like, I don't know that the pumpkin carving thing to put on your stoop doesn't really work.
Yeah. I mean, if you have a stoop, there's like on the Upper West Side, like some of those townhouses will have them, and they're very, very cute.
Yes.
You've Got Mail. It's like those kinds of apartment buildings, but I live in like a big building, so we don't really do that. There's usually just a mob of children who come to your door all at once.
I'm upset, because usually for Halloween, we look forward to the little kids coming around with their costumes. They're so cute. But my husband and I will be in Charlottesville for this event, and it's, it's so important. So I'm like, and it's too hot. It's like 80 degrees in the DC area today. So we can't put the candy out. It'll melt.
Man, so I remember trick-or-treating in my snowsuit as a kid.
Oh, me too. Me too. It was a whole plan. It was like a whole thing. So here are our pumpkin carvings. And as I mentioned, every year Tiki would always have a pumpkin, and we had to do a tribute to him. And here are our Kamala democracy, election. My husband did that one. He surprised me with it. It's amazing. I did the Harris 2024. He did the other two.
Amazing.
And I did the Tiki one.
How do you do this? Like,
it's stencils and patience that I never thought I had.
The stuff that I did when I was a kid, it was like one of those serrated knives, and you were like, and you made two triangles for an eye, and then like a weird mouth.
I know.
These are beautiful.
Thank you. I never thought that I was capable of being able to do anything like this until my husband came along, because he's an artist in all kinds of ways.
He's so
all kinds of things. He's amazing. And he, about 12 years ago, he was like, let's try some of these fancy ones. I was like, there's no way. I was intimidated. And then he showed me, and I was like, oh, wow. So over the years now, it's become a tradition for us to have a theme every year. We usually have music to them when we play it outside. So like a couple years we did Star Wars stuff because of Mandalorian and the Star Wars movies, right? So we would blast like, Star Wars music while the kids would come and trick or treat with our pumpkins. Another year I did Mary Poppins when Emily Blunt resurrected the Mary Poppins. They revived it. I did a Mary Poppins, who I love. I'm obsessed with Mary Poppins and Julie Andrews. And we had Spoonful of Sugar playing along with that. Last year, I believe it was either last year or 2 years ago, we did Stranger Things, because I'm a big fan of that show. And I had I had a whole like picture of her with her like with her hand out, with her powers. Stranger Things thing. So we had the Stranger Things music. So we do it every year. And this year, obviously, it was a no-brainer that we would honor the election and Kamala, and we're not afraid to show who we are, who we're supporting. And the Tiki tributes, the first year without Tiki, and he always gets a pumpkin. And so I had to do a Tiki tribute and make sure he's smiling from across the Rainbow Bridge.
We love you, Tiki.
There you go.
I bought shark costumes for my cats a couple of years ago.
I love it. But as at the podium thing, that was the best. That could have been a Halloween costume thing. The little podium.
I know. You can kind of see it. They destroyed it overnight, and I had to put it together. Like the flags were on opposite sides of the apartment. I'm like, oh my god.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, the sharks we tried to do 1 year, and it did not go well. So,
well, you know,
when you don't have kids, but you got cats.
Yes, kitties are going to be kitties. Listen, I'm going to wear my Cat Ladies Vote t-shirt tomorrow when I go and vote. I will have my Great American Bitch stuff right here like that because that's, you know, we will embrace that with a badge of valor. That's right. Well, these Great American Bitches are going to defeat you.
I early voted over the weekend. I actually have a video of it on my Instagram at the Michelle Kinney.
Yes.
You want to go take a look.
Yeah, I'm going to video mine too, so I can post it. We'll do it on our way back from Charlottesville. So everybody go vote if you haven't. If you want to send us your pumpkin carvings, if you're into that, please, we like to see them and we'll share them. So send them to us. And please, again, continue to like, share, and subscribe to all of our Seneca Project stuff. And here we go. We've got 5 days to go. 5 days to go.
We'll see you tomorrow for some happy hour, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. We're going to do some happy hour tomorrow. So
we shall.
We'll see everybody
tomorrow.
Women's suffrage is a long story of hard work and heartache crowned by victory.
Was it so hard being an American girl?
Women throughout the country are committed to winning these rights for themselves.
Was it so hard living in a first problem world?
I'm Connie Chung, CBS News, New York.
When the American promise is the land of the free, but I'm waiting for the bill for the air that I breathe. Was it so hard being an American girl?
I do. I pray that we all remember our children are watching.
Every heart beats true for the red, white, and blue. Tell me, girls, what are we gonna do? Every heart beats true for the red, white, and blue. Tell me, girls, what are we gonna do? Every heart stops to all the white and American girls. What are we gonna do? Every heart.
While I may be the first woman in this office, I will not be the last.
Every heart beats true for the red, white, and blue. Tell me, girls, what are we gonna do?
This election, it will come down to the women turning out in the battleground states.
We know that when women show up, we win.
We've got one job to do. We have got to beat Donald Trump and elect the first woman president of the United States.
We have work to do. We have doors to knock on. We have people to talk to. We have phone calls to make. And we have an election to win.
It is a brand new race.
It's a moment that I feel like people are energized.
Kamala Harris is bringing that energy.
Women are fed up. This is their lives. This is their body on the line.
Birth control is at stake.
I cannot vote for a man who rolls back women's reproductive rights.
If Trump gets the chance, he will sign a national abortion ban, but we are not going to let that happen.
Abortion advocates are going to come out even harder for her because they know that she has been their champion in the White House.
The government should not be telling a woman what to do with her body.
It was Kamala Harris that was cross-examining the very nominees that became the justices that overturned Roe v. Wade.
Vice President Harris, former prosecutor. Donald Trump, convicted felon.
I will proudly put my record against his.
She has overcome and overperformed and been underestimated at every turn of her career.
She's broken and smashed glass ceiling after glass ceiling.
And for all of those people asking, you know, is this country ready for a woman president? Is this country ready for a black woman president? Well, you better get ready because Madame Vice President is coming your way.
The choice is in Minnesota Governor Tim Walz.
Her pick is Minnesota Governor Tim Walz.
He's affable, he's likable.
He's joyful.
He is a veteran, a hunter, a father.
He is a football coach.
He's a former high school teacher.
This is not a coastal elite guy.
He won in rural Minnesota over and over and over again.
They see people less fortunate as scapegoats and punchlines for their jokes. We see them as neighbors.
You have my pledge. As long as I am governor, IVF will continue to be a lifeline of hope for families just like mine.
Thank God for IVF. My wife and I have 2 beautiful children.
With Tim on our side, we're unstoppable.
One of the most productive governors.
Minnesota today codified abortion rights.
He cut taxes for working families.
Passed universal background checks on guns.
We have universal breakfast and lunches for our children, all the children.
What a monster. Kids are eating and having full bellies so they can go learn, and women are making their own health care decisions. This is preaching to the choir, but the choir needs to sing.
In July 1848, courageous women came together in Seneca Falls, New York to start a movement. They dared to fight against treatment as second-class citizens. After decades of struggle, women fought and won the right to vote, to work without discrimination, to control our bodies, to even open bank accounts without the permission of a man. Each one was a triumph against those who believed we didn't deserve them. Well, today, those hard-fought victories are under attack. Donald Trump and his allies are determined to send us back to a time when we had no say, no freedom, no choice.
I got rid of Roe v. Wade.
Do we want a future where our daughters have fewer rights than our grandmothers? Where their bodies are state property? Their voices silenced? Their opportunities erased? We say hell no. We won't go back. This November, we must take back what is ours. For ourselves, for our daughters, and for the pioneers of Seneca Falls. It's up to us.
Do you believe in punishment for abortion? There has to be some form of punishment.
The Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade and ended a woman's constitutional right to an abortion.
We trust women.
There's a threat facing women in America that transcends party lines.
My country doesn't care about me.
And it's time we ask ourselves, do we still value the freedoms we have fought so hard for?
We should all have the care that we need.
This election is a choice, and it is a time for choosing. We're told we have to choose between left or right, but we know what the real choice is. It's a choice between our freedom or their control, between our right to determine our own destinies or Donald Trump. So seriously, America, what the hell are we doing? We can't sit on the sidelines while women in America suffer and die because a right we once had has now been criminalized. If we don't make the right choice, there's no state to escape to. There's no going back. Choosing who will shape our future is a right we still have left for now. And that choice is up to us.
It wasn't easy getting here. The loss, the heartbreak. My wife is tough, resilient. She said, we'll just keep trying. I didn't know much about IVF until we needed it. There were moments when all hope felt lost. But we finally got our miracle. From the moment I held her, I vowed to protect her. If it were up to Donald Trump and J.D. Vance, our little girl wouldn't even exist. They don't care about the joys, the sacrifices. They only care about their control over our lives and her future. Who the hell are they to tell us how or when we become moms and dads? We know what's best for our families. It's time to stand together, not with any party, but as parents. Kamala Harris and Tim Walz get that. That's why this fall, I'm voting for her. I'm voting for hope.
From the 6 a.m. practice to the away game pickup, from her first goal to the state finals, from the big wins to the big lessons, we take care of all the little things. We do these little things so our daughters can achieve big things. We do all of this for their future. And this fall, that future is on the line. We have come so far,
But we have one big thing left to do for our daughters. Their rights are on the ballot, and we won't go back. Not now. Not ever. This fall, we will go for the gold, and we must win for them.